Hello, all you scaredy cats and kittens, and welcome to the Two Scaredy Cats podcast, where we talk about all things strange, unusual, and paranormal. We're your hostess with the mostest. I'm Stacy.
And I'm Kara.
So, Kara, did you do anything this past weekend, whenever, the last time when it was we saw each other or talked?
Yeah, I went to a cool museum in Detroit.
Oh, yeah? What was the name of the museum you went to?
It was called the Anatomy of Death Museum.
Oh, that sounds kind of cool and interesting. What all did you get to see in there?
So, it's this guy's private collection of, like, funeral home stuff. Like, basically everything leading from your death up to, like, you know, funeral, like, being in a funeral home kind of stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was really cool. So, all of his stuff was, like, super neat. He was telling us, like, how he spent, like, over, like, $200,000 or something just in the past year on, like, expanding the collection. They also sell cool stuff, too, which is kind of neat. Like, you can buy stuff from these funeral homes.
Embalming tools and stuff like that?
Yes, embalming, that kind of stuff.
Huh. So are they, like, a supplier to funeral homes, or is this for, like, weird, macabre people to have, or for people to have in their homes if they want to?
No, it's, like, a collection, so we can put it on display at
Gotcha.
this museum. It was like, they probably, I think, like, the funeral homes, like, sell all their stuff or whatever when they, like, upgrade.
Oh, okay, and he buys it?
Because this is, like, ancient stuff that they would, like, 1950s kind of stuff that they would use for, like...
This is some of the stuff, like, Madison Seminary would go and buy to put in their, to display in their place.
I mean, House of Wells.
And stuff like that, gotcha. Interesting.
Yeah, it was, like, funeral homes, basically. A lot of the stuff is where they got it from.
Cool.
You know, like, when they close and then they sell all, like, an estate sale where they sell everything. And this guy, like, would go in and buy, like, some really interesting things, like coffins.
Ooh, spooky.
There was, like, tribal stuff, too, from, like, Africa.
Neat.
Or, like, in those, like, continents where, like, the skulls they would use to, like, pray to.
Or you mean, like, the masks they use for ceremonies and stuff? Is that what... Okay.
Yes, those kind of, like, masks and just, like... fertility statues. There was a literal hearse that they had from 1950s, like a horse-drawn carriage hearse. That was like,
oh, neato. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. And then you would buy stuff too. So he was selling, like, you know how they would put, like, flags on your cars if you're in a funeral procession. Like, you could buy those from, like, the old, like, already shut down funeral homes and stuff.
Huh. Interesting.
One of my friends bought a photo of someone on their funeral,
Ugh.
like a dead person.
Oh, that's weird.
In their coffin, like at their actual funeral, and then there's a photo, or there's a clock with the time of the death of the person, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, and they bought it for like $30. It was like a framed print photo, like actually dating back to then.
Wow, that's really, pretty cool.
Like, it's a black and white photo. That's how you know it was old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It sounds exciting.
Strange.
Yeah, definitely different.
The place is supposedly haunted. When he left, he's like, just so you know, if you get cursed or anything, you have to take that responsibility. I was like, oh, thanks.
Oh, wow. Nice. Did he make you sign a waiver before you went back into that back area?
I think he was joking, but still.
Oh, well, you never know.
Yeah, a lot of stuff was, like, actual. There was, like, a jar with a human heart, like, what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, a lot of...
Like, preserved in all the liquids and all that?
There was, like, a mummy, too. Like, mummified remains or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got a mummified bat, which is pretty cool. I bought that.
Kind of like the Cleveland Curiosity place that we went to, where they had all that kind of neat stuff.
Yeah, basically, it was kind of like that.
But
they had a lot more funeral stuff, you know. So
oh, yeah, neat.
Their whole,
right.
A lot of bones and cool stuff, too. It's the main.
I don't know that I'd want bones hanging out in my, work or where I live, but hey.
I thought about buying a raccoon
to each his own.
bone. They like a...
bad idea. God,
I was like,
stop.
Oh,
you
cool.
And your raccoon obsession.
I found a raccoon tail, too, that they had. Like a taxidermied raccoon tail.
Yes, you're crazy. Oh, good grief.
I thought it would be cool.
Yeah, that's interesting for sure. Well, me and your dad went to Las Vegas, as you know, because you were home.
Yeah.
You were watching Sam for us while we were gone. We had a nice time. We went and saw the Red Rock Canyon, which was really cool. All the rock is really neat because everything there's like this really cool red color. It was in the middle of the desert, which was interesting, and we saw some old petroglyphs that were carved into the side of some rocks there. That was pretty neat. We got to see Fremont Street, which is basically old Vegas. And
did you see Area 51?
No, because Dad was a poo-poo head and wouldn't let me go check it out. He was worried we were going to get arrested or whatever. I tried to convince him, but I didn't do so well. And we went to Hoover Dam, where somebody died building the dam, and they say it's haunted, but we didn't. I mean, we were there during it was early evening, so it was still light out, so we didn't see any ghosts or anything. But it was still pretty neat to see the Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
And then we hung out in different casinos and saw a bunch of crazy, interesting people.
Yeah.
It was fun.
That photo you guys got with the flamingo people?
Yeah, the one with the flamingo person. Yeah. People, if you go to Vegas, there are flamingo girls that walk around all over the whole strip with their little flamingo outfits on, and they will come up to you and they'll be like, "Oh, would you like to take a picture with me?" Okay, and you're thinking, "Oh, all right, that sounds cool." Well, that's how they get you. You take the picture with them, and then after you're done taking the photo, they'll be like, "Oh, by the way, you need to pay me." And, we charge $40 is what we normally get, but, we'll take whatever you can give us. But really, $40 is what we normally get. So, your father got snickered on that one. So we ended up paying him $40 for a picture of them that we took ourselves.
That's ridiculous.
We learned our lesson though. After that, we stayed away. For anytime we saw flamingo chicks hanging out on a corner, we stayed far away from them. But yeah, so that was our weekend. It
was fun.
So let's see. I think last time you went first, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So this time I'll go first. This week for us, I will be talking about the Bridgewater Triangle. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this before, but it's a 200 square mile area in southern Massachusetts. And it's basically where these three cities connect together and they form a triangle. And in this area is a hotbed for all kinds of paranormal phenomenon, ranging from UFOs to poltergeists to orbs, balls of fire, and other spectral phenomenon happens there. Bigfoot has been spotted there. Giant snakes have been spotted there. Thunderbirds have been there. I mean, it's got everything and anything you could ever think of for a paranormal activity.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. There's two particular areas that I'm going to cover. There's a lot more stuff that goes on, and there's some, but these are basically the hotbeds where most of this activity takes place. Mm-hmm. So the first area that I want to talk about is called Hockomock Swamp. Now, the name actually of this swamp means place where the spirit dwells. Now, where the Hockomock Swamp sits, back when America got discovered and the colonists came over from England and all that, it was colonized by the English, of course, and it was part of the Plymouth colony back then. So it was one of the original colonies that was formed. And they called it Devil's Swamp because they had never seen anything like this in England. Apparently, there's no swamps in England where they were from. Now, I know England has a lot of marshes, which is kind of similar to swamps. But when they saw the swamp area, because of how thick it was and just, so much foliage, you couldn't walk through there. You would get stuck in mud and all the different animals and flora and fauna. They called it Devil's Swamp. Anyway, this is the heart of the triangle. And most of the Bigfoot and Thunderbird and the giant snake sightings that I'll be talking about have been witnessed outside of the swamp area in this section. And many people believe that's because these creatures actually live in the swamp. So first we're going to start off with the Bigfoot sightings. There have been several of those over the years, and it's mostly people when they're walking around in that area. There's a lake in the middle of there, and in the lake they say people have spotted Bigfoot. And there was one particular story that I came across when I was doing my research about a cop that was out. He had gotten a call he was on a run, and he had his cruiser, and he was driving around near the lake that's in the middle of the swamp area. And he said that he got out of his cruiser to inspect whatever it was he was checking on, and he said all of a sudden he noticed a big, red, hairy looking creature come up behind his cruiser, and it lifted it up off the back end of it up off the ground. So he was freaked out about that, and that was one of the first sightings that people had of Bigfoot in that area. Now, over the years, there have been several other people that have spotted Bigfoot, and there was a dude that was a hunter that would hunt for fur and stuff like that, a fur hunter, and he would go out into the swamp area a lot, and this was in the 80s. And he said that while he was out in the swamp area, he felt like he was being watched. And he couldn't figure out why he kept feeling that way. Well, he was on his canoe, and he had been, riding around in the swamp trying to find certain animals and stuff and to catch them so he could use their fur to sell. He noticed this kind of reddish, very tall, 8-foot tall kind of creature standing off on one of the edges of the bank of the swamp or whatever. And he said that it was just kept looking at him and all that, and he could smell this very nasty skunk-like odor, and he looked over and he saw it, but then when he looked back again, it was gone. So there have been several sightings of Bigfoot in that area. There was also the sighting of a giant snake. Now, the story about this, it's crazy town. People say this snake is as big as a stovepipe, and we're talking olden day stovepipe, not today. It's huge, and it was thick around, and they said it was some type of python. Now, there have, normally this forest doesn't have pythons. It's not native to that part of the world, that part of the country or whatever. There was some naturalist or whatever that was walking around in there, and he happened to they came across an 8-foot python. So they think that there could be larger species of snakes hanging out in that area. But with the snake thing, there were several guys working for the nature people, and they were out in the wilderness, out in the forest area there, or in the swamp, doing their work, whatever they were, trying to fix something or whatever. And there was 4 or 5 of them. And all of a sudden, they noticed this giant black snake come up. And they said it was 12 or 20 foot long. It was huge snake. And it kind of struck at them, but it didn't get them, luckily. And they said it had a triangular shaped head. So, yeah, kind of like a triangle shape. So, that's the story of the giant snake. And there have been several sightings of that over the years. Not too many recently, though, so I don't know if they've, died off or what the deal is. And then the final creature that hangs out in there, and this one's kind of cool, is the Thunderbird. Now, I have 2 stories about the sighting of the Thunderbird. Now, the very first sighting that ever took place happened at 2 a.m. on a late summer night in 1971. There was a Norton police sergeant by the name of Thomas Downey, and he was driving in Mansfield, which is in this it's in the Triangle area, and he was driving towards his home in Easton. As he came to a place known as Bird Hill, which is kind of ironic for the whole story, and he stopped, and he came across an enormous 6-foot tall winged creature with a wingspan of 8 to 12 feet tall. So Downey stopped his car, and the bird flew straight up and then disappeared over the trees and flew into the swamp. Now, some people speculate that what they're seeing is not the Thunderbird, and that it could possibly be Mothman sightings.
Is that near Mothman?
Yes, because it's not near there, but, Mothman kind of traveled around a little bit there for a while, when he was first spotted. Now, so the second story that I had, though, about Thunderbird was that in 1988, so now we're, a little closer to our time, 2 young boys were following a 3-toed tracks that were in the woods. And they were, they were following them and going along, only to find out that at the end of the tracks led to a terrifying creature with a black wrinkled face, dark feathers, and long brown legs. Now, as soon as the kids saw this creature, they screamed and they ran, and the thing flew off, obviously, because it had wings. But that was, like, the other sighting that took place of this Thunderbird creature that people have been talking about. A lot of people believe that some of the sightings that are taking place in this Hockomock Swamp is due to, it used to belong to the Native Americans. I mean, obviously, they were here before, the Pilgrims got here. But they believed that the swamp was used for a very long time in some of their ceremonies and that. And over the years, they've drained parts of the swamp, and they've actually found, like, ancient bones that go back, like, at least a couple thousand years. So that would have been before, Plymouth and the colonists came over. And this would even be before the Indians were, fully rampant in that area. All right, so the second part of this triangle area that I wanted to talk about that gets a lot of stuff happening in it is called Freetown or Fall River State Forest. Now, this one's a little different. It has had a reported variety of various types of cult activity in this area, including animal sacrifices, ritualistic murders by Satanists, and gangland murders and suicides that have taken place. Oh. So, with the animal sacrifices, now this only happened like a couple times. It's not like, every other day there's like animal sacrifices all over there. But they said that there was a cow carcass that had been found there, and cows aren't in that area at all because, it's a forest and it's like a kind of like a state forest. So, there's no farmland near there or whatever. But somebody had brought a cow and they had, mutilated it, and, its organs were missing. Blood was missing out of it. There was speculation that was sacrifice for the Satanist or whatever. There was also a time period where in the forest there was some ritualist murders going on by the Satanists. Now, this has never been proved. In fact, some of the people that have been investigating this over the years theorize that there was never, ever a murder of a human done there. Now, there might have been other sacrifices like goats, sheep, that kind of stuff. But there's never really ever been a human that's been sacrificed there. That's all kind of hearsay. Now, there are some suicides that have happened there over the years. Some of that all kind of falls in with this next little creature that I'm going to talk about that apparently runs rampant in this area. And that would be called, and the Pukwudgie, means a little wild man of the forest. Now, these creatures are from the Alleghenian folklore of the Wampanoag people, and they considered him to be a dangerous trickster. They are said to look like a porcupine from the back and a half-human, half-troll from the front, and they walk upright. Now, over the years, people have seen various versions of that, and different tribes that used to be on that land, that particular type of land, all have different versions of what the Pukwudgie looks like. But he's always like the same of what happens with the Pukwudgie is that they're always known to lure people to their death, that they will use magic, and they will launch poison arrows at you and try and maybe maim you or make you do something that will make you hurt yourself. And they also like to create like fake magical fire. It is said that they will travel around the forest as orbs, similar to fairies. And there have been numerous stories over the years about people seeing these orbs in the forest area there, especially some of the areas where they've been known to see the Pukwudgies. They say that the orbs will actually change colors. There was a group of boys when they were little. They lived near the forest, so, they were always in there messing around in that. And one night they were in there, I think they were hunting for frogs, they said. And they were near this, they call it the Indian Bridge. Natural made, like, rocky bridge that went over, like, a creek area. And they were there and they were looking out over the water, and they said all of a sudden they saw these three glowing like lights coming near them. And at first they thought, oh, there must be, somebody out hunting on the water looking for, frogs or whatever. They are fishing at night. But as the lights got closer and closer to them, they came to realize that it was not a lantern. There was nobody there. It was just like these floating lights. So that creeped them out really bad, and they hurried up and they ran away because, they had heard stories over the years about all the different creatures that live in the forest there. There's also a fun fact for all of our Harry Potter fans out there. Pukwudgies are identified in J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter universe. In Pottermore, they are described as native to America. They have short gray faces and large ears. They are distantly related to the European goblin. They are fiercely independent. They like to trick, and they don't like humans. And they have their own powerful magic, so they don't get their power from like wands or anything like that. They have their own special magical powers. They hunt with deadly poison arrows, and they enjoy tricking humans, which is, kind of what I talked about in the other story that I talked about there. Now, there's also an area in the forest there that's called the Ledge. And the Ledge, they say, is haunted by a lady in white. So this is where some of our ghost stories come in. And it is also where people have been seeing the Pukwudgies, and they have been known to shove people over the edge of the ledge. So that's where we get some of our suicides from. They say that people have been shoved hard enough that they fell over the edge and died. And some people believe it's from the Pukwudgies. There was a documentary that I was watching actually on Amazon the other day that was talking about them and how there was this group of paranormal investigators, and they were up near the ledge, and they had this lady with them, and they said that all of a sudden she started acting really bizarre, and they think that her body had been taken over by the spirit of a Pukwudgie, and she like starts screaming and like is writhing around and trying to jump off the ledge, so they had to like jump on her, and they're holding her back, and she's like screaming and making these like animals. I mean, she sounded like an animal. She did not sound human at all, but it was crazy. But they said that sometimes they will take over your body, and they will, force you to harm yourself. In Native American culture, they're considered magical, that they will launch poison arrows at you, and they will create the fire. So there was a couple more things that, cropped up when I was looking at all this. There are large cats that appear there that aren't native to that part of America or the United States in general. They've seen black panthers, which are not at all prevalent on the East Coast there. And they're not just like small cats that they've seen. They've also seen large dogs as big as a horse. And there's one story where this guy says he was walking in the forest one day and he saw this huge dog, and he was like, oh, it's a pretty cool dog. But the dog actually had a horse in its mouth that it was eating, and it had red eyes. So, and he said the dog was like, 6 or 8 feet tall. Back when the settlers came there for a while, they had to set up werewolf traps because there was talks of werewolves in that area also. Yeah. So, yeah, I found that kind of funny that kind of ties into all that. And then there was another story that I thought was interesting about a name by the name of Bill Russo, who lives near the forest. And he was out walking with his dog, and they were like on a road, I guess inside, just a little bit inside the forest. And a creature that was 3 or 4 feet tall, that was completely covered in hair and had a pot belly and had a face like a chipmunk, started talking to him and told him that it wanted him to come, like, he said it was like sentient, and it was telling him to come near him, talking to him, but it was talking weirdly, but it was communicating, in English. It wanted to come with him somewhere, but he said he got spooked and didn't want to, and the dog was acting really weird, so they left quickly before anything came of that. One more last little interesting tidbit fun fact. Lizzie Borden, the girl who chopped up her parent, Lizzie Borden, gave so many whacks to her mom and dad. Their house, interestingly enough, sits inside this area. And there's some speculation that maybe because that land has been cursed, that maybe she was possessed by one of the spirits that, from there, and that's why she did what she did. That's all I have for you on the Bridgewater Triangle. Lots of crazy stuff goes on there.
I've heard that term before, the Bridgewater Triangle. A bunch of stuff, even like stuff you didn't cover,
Yeah, there's a lot more, but I was like, I didn't want to take up the whole time with me carrying on about that, so I figured I'd break it down into tiny little chunks. So what do you have for us this week?
So first of all, we're going to talk about Skinwalker Ranch, because there's been updates on the Skinwalker Ranch.
Ooh, what's going on there? What'd they find?
The new TV show.
I haven't watched it yet.
There was a second season. There's not even just a second season. There's a third season coming out.
Oh, really? I've only watched the first season.
And it comes out tomorrow. Season 3 comes out tomorrow.
Oh, I guess I covered parts of
the first season when I covered the ranch.
Right.
But there was another one, because I binge watched it when I was house sitting for you, because I was working for the podcast. I had nothing better to do. And then I'm going to start watching the third one. It premieres tonight.
Okay.
But just everything that goes on that ranch is buck wild, and it kind of has to relate to the topic I'm doing today too, because we're talking about an alien topic. A lot of people are like, what's going on at Skinwalker Ranch? Is there aliens?
Right.
They were finally able to dig.
Were they?
And shit, or because it gets a little weird, but the first season they were like, no, we can't dig, it's bad, and then this season they're like, that's it, I guess we're gonna have to dig.
Wait, did the first season end with the helicopter thing, where the mechanics on the helicopter got all messed up by whatever radio waves are being emitted from whatever's on the ranch that they can't figure out what it is? Oh, that was season 2? Okay, then I watched some of that.
You probably watched some of it then.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
Yeah, that was the part of season 2, but season 3 comes out tomorrow.
Ooh, okay. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
I know. It was so crazy that, I don't know if you got to the part where the ground is literally electrified, basically. They
brought in some kind of weird machine, and they tried to see magnets. Yes, yeah.
You've seen season 2 then. That is when
okay.
So you're all caught up, and you can watch season 3 when it comes out tonight.
Oh, alright, we'll have to watch it tonight. Okay.
Hopefully it'll be on Hulu. It should be, though. I also watched the UFO documentary from Showtime.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That one was interesting, too. Basically, the government's just,
lying through their teeth.
Totally
not. Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weather.
Non-committal about what's really going on. Yeah, they're still claiming that. Yeah. Especially about Roswell. I was watching something about that.
But the topic today we're going to talk about is the Fermi Paradox. You probably have heard kind of about it. It's basically, it's by physicist Enrico Fermi. Posed the question, where are all the aliens? If the aliens existed, where are they? Why have we not made any contact with them? To our knowledge, because who knows what the government...
there could be lizard men running around for all we know, right? Running the government.
I said, who knows? If aliens existed, Earth should have already been visited.
True.
We should have had some point, is basically what the paradox is.
Okay.
Fermi discussed that any civilization with a modest amount of rocket technology and an incentive could rapidly colonize the entire galaxy, essentially. Explanations for the paradox, because people are like, well, yeah, why aren't there any aliens? Here's some explanations. Aliens never came here because of the difficulties of space travel.
Oh, please. They're supposed to
Which
be...
is true. It is.
But they're supposed to be intelligent and be able to, you know what I mean? Their body's built for that stuff. Not like us.
Well, how do we know? We don't know. We're still studying. That's the whole thing. This is it's kind of like
what if?
Theory. Yeah. Like a theory scenario. It's not like we know this.
It's not concrete. Okay.
But this is just kind of like a paradox. Kind of like a thought experiment. That's how I would explain it. A thought experiment. Why are there no aliens? Another explanation to this is aliens just chose not to visit us.
Okay.
Which could be. Advanced civilizations beyond Earth arose too recently for aliens to reach us. Because you know how long it takes for traveling. Yeah. So say if aliens, or intelligent life, essentially, if it started developing way before ours did, they would never be able to technically reach us because of how far away they were. Like, maybe they already went through their whole life cycle by the time that we began life.
Right.
This is a very sciencey episode. I'm not gonna lie. So another theory is that aliens have visited, but we have not observed them yet, which I feel like is the more accurate.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Or maybe, I don't even know, because there's just so much weird stuff that happens, and it might not even be aliens, or maybe they mastered some sort of technology that we just cannot comprehend yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I can really think of. And basically, this universe is super vast, and it could take us billions of years to travel across, like us as a society, especially with our current technology.
Yeah, I could see that.
There are 20 billion sun-like stars, and about a fifth of those have a planet in the habitable zone. So, like, the zone that life could technically form. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Kind of like Earth. Like, it's similar to Earth's atmosphere and all that, to where life could...
Yeah. Like, it's far enough away from the sun that an atmosphere could happen, and then, like, intelligent life could start.
Mm-hmm.
If only 0.1% of those had life, 1 million planets would have life. If.
Right.
But that's just in the Milky Way, because we only, like, can calculate this stuff because of how vast the universe is. Also, the universe is constantly expanding, so we are constantly getting farther and farther apart from other planets as the universe continues to expand. So this is about the Kardashev scale, and so a type 1 society, these are like how societies come about, or how they kind of categorize them. A type 1 society is able to utilize the resources on a planet. Humanity on this scale is currently at a 0.79. We have not become a full type 1 society yet. So we have not fully mastered the resources on our own planet. A type 2 society would be able to harvest all the energy from the home star also.
So like the sun. Sun. Gotcha.
Yes.
Isn't that kind of what we're doing though with solar power? Isn't that sun power?
I think it would be like literally using the sun as fuel for something, like to build around. Kind of like like how the Death Star was kind of but that kind of like literally using the resources physically on the sun, not because we're technically using it with solar power. I could see where you could say that, but I feel like you're getting that still being on the planet.
Got ya.
So, a Type 3 society is able to control all of the energy from the whole galaxy.
Wow.
Basically, they have expanded to such a degree that they...
Well, that's scary. They could also take out the whole society, or all of the galaxy if they want to.
We're going to talk about that, because that's another theory, is that as soon as a civilization hits a certain milestone, that an alien civilization might step in and stop us, and that's why we've never seen anybody above us yet, because there's something working against
preventing us from achieving that.
Yes.
I can see that.
So if we could produce a generational spaceship that could have a population for 1,000 years, so let's say we put people out for 1,000 freaking years, which that's insane.
Right.
Just like thinking of how much resources you would need. It would take us about 2 million years to conquer the galaxy. It's like insane how like
it's a long time
when you think about these numbers, how vast like space is. Humanity would also, that's not like a perfect thing, because humanity evolves. Like, we as a species are going to evolve. So in that 1,000 years, we might not look like the same kind of humans. So it's pretty crazy.
It is
crazy stuff. But that is the Fermi Paradox.
Interesting.
I'm surprised you never like heard it.
I think I've kind of heard it, but not maybe explained in that kind of a way.
Yeah, it's basically just like, why have we not seen or had like any sort of interaction yet with aliens? Which is a valid question, but like when you kind of like have it all broken down into like just how vast it is, it's pretty crazy to think. But then it's like, okay, if it's not aliens that are messing with us, then what is messing with our planet? Because obviously there's some stuff that we cannot explain. Like all the stuff that's going on like Skinwalker Ranch.
Right.
So is there multiverse have to play with it, because that's almost been proven that there's multiple universes, kind of like how the Marvel
right,
universe
yeah,
is.
there's multiple versions of yourself and different planes
realities
of reality, yeah.
Well, that's the mathematics adds up that it's very possible that our world is also
interesting.
a multiverse. So are these creatures or whatever, like cryptids and stuff, coming out? Are there like
holes or vortexes in it?
Universe that's like holes where these
can get through.
Like, because quantum physics also goes into this. That there are probably places that are thinner where things can go through, or like Skinwalker Ranch. In that new episode, they were plugging the things into the earth, and something was responding to them. Is it like electricity thing that these things are coming through? Because if they're not aliens, because I feel like it's possible that they couldn't be, especially after we like kind of like figured out like how hard it would be for society to like get to a level.
Right.
I don't know. It's interesting to think about.
Well, here's an interesting thought. Atlantis. Remember how, Atlantis is supposed to have really been real, and how, that they were such an advanced civilization that somebody took them down because of how advanced they were, that they were, coming upon, certain theories and stuff, that maybe it was aliens that, knocked them down a few pegs because they were too close to learning the truth about what's really going on.
Yeah. Remember, because I said there was a theory that sometimes stuff happens. Or what if civilizations progress so much that they self-destruct, kind of, because they get too close.
Exactly.
To like finding whatever it is, and then it kills all off.
Well, people say
maybe that's what happened to that civilization that you're talking about.
Yeah, the Atlantis. Or like some people say Stephen Hawking, when he had his stroke or whatever happened to him, they say it was because he got too close to knowing the truth about, the worlds and black holes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody didn't like it.
But it seems like a lot of the stuff that we talk about is like intelligent life. Like the stuff on the other side. Like I said, it might not be aliens, but whatever it is a different being from some sort of different reality. Maybe.
Yeah, that could be. Could be like a god. It could be like, Zeus and all them from up in Olympia or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, like do gods.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's an interesting...
Very thought-provoking, yeah.
Topic.
Yes, it is.
I thought it would be an interesting kind of more thought-provoking and discussion-based, especially with the...
Definitely something to think about.
Yeah, like I didn't realize just quite how large space is.
Yeah.
Like how many years... Like even with our current technology, or if we could travel at light speed, it would still take us like 800 billion years to get somewhere. It's ridiculous.
It is. It's almost like, why even bother?
It's that was another thing, is what if they're just like, or a life advances and they're like, well, what if we don't want to leave?
Right, yeah.
Or see what's out there? What if we just stay here? Like, that's possible too.
Yeah. Or we could be in a giant fishbowl and somebody is just like,
We're just a simulation.
Yeah, and they're just messing with us the whole time, yeah. Or like their little aquarium and they're just playing with all the little pieces. Like a game.
It's more likely than not.
Yep. Who knows?
Alright, well, you have anything else to add?
Nope. Just be mindful if you're going anywhere in Massachusetts near the Bridgewater Triangle to look out for
be careful around the Bridgewater Triangle.
Right. Yeah, be careful. Pay attention.
And watch
your back.
Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
Season, because it comes out. Well, okay. By the time the episode comes out, it'll already have been out, but still watch it.
Right, yeah.
It's buck wild, all the stuff that and it's like an astrophysicist there, so it's like legit,
Yeah, it is crazy, all the
and I'm glad that they're like
people
being
that
public.
they have involved. Yeah.
They're going public with it instead of just hiding it. Like normally the government's like puts a seal on it, says do not look at this.
Right. Do not, yeah. Hides it under a bunch of red tape.
Yeah, they're being very kind of like, yeah, we're filming a TV show to document what we're doing and stuff. So, all right. Well, if you enjoyed our podcast today, follow us on Instagram at Two Scaredy Cats Podcast, and please be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It really helps the show get discovered. And tune in 2 weeks for a new episode. And to all our scaredy cats and kittens out there, remember, curiosity didn't kill these two scaredy cats.